served as head trainer at several international academies like European, Norwegian, Russian, Estonian, Portuguese, and Austrian academies, leading diverse trainers teams in JCI, Junior Chamber International. She was internationally awarded as Most Outstanding Trainer and is certified as the highest trainer level by ITF, International Training Fellow, by the JCI. She's also Toastmasters International Representative for Turkey and is Distinguished Toastmaster, meaning Advanced Certification of Communication and Leadership. She's the first Turkish trainer certified as ATD Master Trainer. So I leave the floor to you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. It's great to stand in front of you. Can everybody hear me without the microphone? Beni duyuyor musunuz? Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, then I'll leave the microphone. Okay, I'm standing in front of you and I'm really happy to be here. For 1 second, close your eyes and open it again. I'm still in front of you, right? Can everybody see me?
Yes.
So that means this is real. And I'm standing here just because of strategic planning. Fellow leaders in this room, this is the result of strategic planning, which is not very popular in Turkish community. Especially 15-20 years ago, it was not popular at all. We were not really planning strategically. We were more going with the flow, which most of the time still happens that way. And if I would go with the flow 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I would not be able to stand in front of you today. All I did when Mengi was reading, all I did in the last 10 years happened because of strategic planning. And about this, I would like to give you more examples from my real life, and I want to leave you this room with having two important concepts in your mind, which will affect your mindset. Let me start with telling what is that two. One is awareness. I think it's the most important thing that defines your life. And the second thing is proactivity. Proactivity would be the main key that would allow you to do strategic planning properly. What happens with the first one, the awareness? How aware are you about yourself? How aware are you about the situation around you, your life, your job, what happens in Istanbul, what happens in the world? As consulate people, you should be aware of all these things highly, but more than that, you should be aware of it inside of you. You should know about yourself as much as possible, because otherwise, how would you plan and how would you think strategically? At the university, I did a research which is about goals, and I was studying cognitive psychology and the relationship with the goals and the memory. So how memory is affected by our goals. And I was thinking, as people should have goals, it would be easy to assess this subject, because I would ask about their goals and about their memories, and I will find out the relationship. I did the research on 200 people. 100 is university students, second, third, and fourth grade, and the other 100 is people working in sectors in lower management or in the first years of their career. And then I asked about their goals. The results, nearly 95%, nobody had goals. They were all Turkish, of course, because nobody believes that we can have goals and we can set goals and we can little by little work on our goals and achieve them. I mean, look at the world, look at Istanbul, look at Turkey. Of course it's hard. Our main thing is change. You never know. Everything changes from one day to the other. So people are thinking, why would I set goals? Anyway, I will get into an exam, and with the result of that exam, I would end up in a university department. Anyway, I cannot really choose what I will study. So the country is full of engineers working in banks. Some scientists, like physicists, biologists, working in telecom companies. Isn't it the reality around you?
Yes.
Yeah. But if people could think, at least as a mindset, that I can really decide my future, I can really put my goals and then walk towards, it would steer, maybe they would not end up totally, but it will steer their way and they would end up somewhere closer. So I studied, during my high school, I was in Ted Ankara College, I studied in the science department because my parents were both engineers, and when I was growing up, I was thinking there's no other chance. You know, there are engineers and the rest. And the rest. And you know, they happen to be not engineers because they couldn't be. So if you can be, you should be engineer. So I studied that way the whole of my high school. And at the end of the high school, when I needed to attend to the exam, I was thinking, no, I don't want to be an engineer. I want to work with people. I want to do something different. And then I told it to my parents, and they were like, what? What do you mean? So I ended up in studying economics, because with those much scientific studies in the high school, I couldn't transfer totally to psychology. I mean, what I knew I liked was psychology, but it was too on the other side. So I ended up studying economics. But when I was studying economics, I was more trying to do things with internships, with NGO work, like I was a part of ISEC and doing some more projects with people. I was preparing myself for learning more psychology. And after the university, I got my backpack and went to US, thinking that I want to find out what I really want in this life. And I was a girl from Ankara. You know, 20 years ago, that was not easy that you get your backpack and leave home and go to US. My father didn't talk to me for 1.5 years. Seriously. And then I needed to find a psychologist to make our communication again. But it was in my plan. I wanted to live according to what I really want from life. I didn't want to end up in a bank with my university degree. So after that, I stayed in US for 1 year, made some internships, and traveled a lot with my backpack, not in high quality, but at least I know what I don't want, and I was trying to find what I want. I found out a lot of these organizations that I'm a member of right now at those times. And when I come back, I was thinking, if I don't come back now, I would never come back. I would always stay because I will get used to the US standards and style too much. So after a year, I came back. When I was working back here, I was doing extra things, like becoming a member of Training Chamber International, getting some trainings from them. And it was always in my plan that I want to do something bigger than what is happening here. But I also knew I was wanting to live in Istanbul. I don't want to move totally somewhere. But I want to be able to travel, and I want to be able to do something extraordinary that will have my name on it. Then I recognized being a trainer. At those times when I say trainer, people were thinking, oh, so you're a teacher at the school. And no, it was not. But I found this out also in US. A trainer told me that I'm so young that I would have a very good trainer career, which is in vocational trainings for adults and so on. And I was like, oh, okay, I will follow you. So I get the trainer kind of trainings, training design kind of trainings. And while I was doing these things, I was still working here in Turkey. I was at the doing PR of a technology company at that time, which I was not liking my job, but at least I should feed myself at those times. So, of course, when you want to plan, it doesn't happen overnight. So you need to use the situation, you need to use the possibilities at those times. But if you have it in your plan, if you are clear about your goals, if you really set smart goals, I'm sure you already spoke about these things, then it's more visible that you can go there somehow, someday. And then I had mentors, which I employed myself. I was meeting with people, and the real good ones that I admire, I was going and asking for help. There was a Venezuelan guy who was the international president of JCI 2003 or 2004, I think. I went to him and asked, can you spare some time for me? And he was so busy running from meetings to meetings. And he said, okay, tomorrow morning, I'll have my breakfast at 6:30. If you come to my hotel and meet me at the lobby, you can sit, I can eat, and you can ask me whatever you want. So that early race changed my life, because he told me there's an organization called ASCD, American Society for Training and Development, and it's the highest level that a training professional can go and can learn and can develop himself. And I took notes from every word that he said, and I asked him, can you keep being my mentor? And he's like, okay, you can send me emails time to time. And whenever I sent him an email, he replied after 2-3 weeks. But if I wouldn't ask, I would not get it at least. So you ask, and maybe you don't get what you want fully, but you get something. So I became a member of ASCD. It changed my life, because now when I first went to their international conference, it was 13 years ago. I watched amazing names who have best-selling books and so on, and I was thinking, why we always have all these American guys doing this great stuff, and then we're importing them to Turkey, give a lot of money because of their name and surname, and a lot of Turkish business people listen to them with open eyes. But why there is no Turkish person in the globe that can do these things? Because whatever they are saying is not rocket science. So I put it in my goal. I want to be a speaker there. I want to be an international speaker. I want to be known as a Turkish woman. Why there isn't many women around the world doing these things? And when I was thinking of all these goals, even my parents were laughing at me. Even they were not really believing in it. So I put it in my SMART goals, made it as smart as possible, and then I put it in my mind map. So for the brain to process better and that you can use your brain power better, if you make mind maps, it's more user friendly. So on this side, you can put your bullet points, whatever your idea is, and then you transfer it to the mind map. Then you can use both sides of your brain. So I was trying to use a lot of tools like this when I was planning. This is also a material that I developed, and I'm giving these booklets to my coaches. So we work on their goals with this mind map strategy. And I brought you some of these, so I will give 10 lucky ones these booklets. So I was trying to use all the tools that I can find. And when I was doing this, I recognized, what are they doing good that they are invited to speak that conference? The conference was around 70 years back to back that they were doing this conference in US, in different states every year, and around 10,000 professionals were attending it. It's amazing, 10,000. I was attending conferences here, but it was never that big. So it's 4 days, you are running with your manual in your hand from different rooms to different rooms, parallel 300 sessions in 4 days. And I was watching the good speakers taking notes. What are they doing good? And I was thinking, how can I put my feet in that door? What can I do? And then I recognized if I would have an international award, that would easily open a door. So I was looking in the internet, where is international awards that I can apply and that I can get? What it could be. In the meantime, when these things were happening in my mind, my daily life was going on. I was going to the office, working for the normal jobs that I need to do, and still satisfying my managers so they don't kick me away. But of course, I was not really loving what I'm doing, but I was doing it good so that I can do other things as well. And then I found out that JCI, this Junior Chamber International, was giving an award as Most Outstanding Trainer, International Award. So I was watching who got that. I was examining who are the ones who could get that award. So when I understand what they do, I also send that kind of a file, and I got this award in 2006. So I became the Most Outstanding Trainer. Get my certificate in front of 2,000 people applauding, and it was a check in my strategic plan also. So within that, I applied to ASCD, and I became the first ever Turkish trainer invited to speak, invited to be a speaker. It was 10 years ago, and this year in May, I will speak 10th time back to back. No other Americans are being able to do that except Ken Blanchard, Bob Pike, Jim Smith. No, there are a handful of keynote speakers who are always there, but the rest, among the other consecutive sessions, people are invited 1 year, 2 years, and then they change. So it was all in my strategic plan. The most important thing is the awareness. You need to be aware of who you are and what you want. And then the awareness of the possibilities. What can you do with your own situation? Where can you get resources? And then write it down, because writing down is an important thing for the brain. When you use more senses, it becomes more real. So when you use your sense of writing and then seeing it and then reading it inside and hearing it in your mind, makes it more vivid, makes it more real. So it gives you more power. It makes your brain think about it more and more, even when you're not conscious. When you're washing the dishes or when you're walking into the office, your brain still works at the back if you have written those things down. If you just thought, they are just thoughts. They are just dreams. But if you write it down, if you made it more clear, if you put those smartness in it, then it becomes more grounded in the back of your mind, and your brain works for it little by little. And the next thing is being proactive, as I said. When you're aware, if you have the proactivity mindset, then you know you can do something about it. You can proactively do something, not just react after things happen. So you can react to the things which is happening, but you can still plan strategically beforehand and proactively think about your future, design your future yourself. And when you designed it, of course, you need to change according to the changes in life on the way. But you need to come back to your way again and again all the time. For that, sometimes we are saying too much planning, you need to be more flexible, but there is not too much planning ever. There's a curve, there's a flexibility curve. If you are planning a little bit, then you are not flexible, of course, because you are not prepared for the change. But if you plan too much, if you pass the curve, if you are more on the end, then you are more flexible because you're so much planned, you have all the ABC plans, you have all the possibilities in your mind, and then any change doesn't change your real plan. You can adapt easily. You are too planned so that you can be very flexible. You can easily adapt to the change, what is going on in your real life, in the reality. And also the reality is in the eye of the beholder. So we look at the same thing, but we all see different things. Why? Because there's too many signals coming to our brains, and our brains needs to filter it to be able to perceive. We cannot perceive all the signals, so we need to filter. So everybody has their own filters, and most of the time it comes from their childhood, from their families, from their environment, from their studies, from their schooling. So everybody has different filters, so the reality is different for everybody. That's why I can believe that I can do it when people were laughing at me. I was telling I will get this award, and people were saying, never a Turkish person get that. And you being a lonely woman, from Ankara, trying to survive in Istanbul, we'll see. And it was really competitive. But being able to see that it is possible makes it possible. So the most important things is to know planning, but knowing is not enough because everybody knows the SWOT analysis. Now, probably you heard SWOT analysis before today also. There's the strengths, there's the weaknesses, and knowing it doesn't make us do it. Doing it doesn't make us really benefit from it. Because if we know a lot of things and too many knowledge is around, and if we don't internalize it, if we don't take it into our lives and live with it, walk with it, talk with it, then it doesn't really happen. But to make use of it, you need to have it in your mindset. You need to say, I believe in planning. I believe in being strategic, so I will use it. And then it becomes a part of your life. When you're sleeping, you also sleep with all those thoughts in your mind. For example, in my strategic planning, there is something like being rememberable. So I thought I need to be rememberable for people. I need to make something that people remember me in the long run. What can I do? I mean, once in a while I speak somewhere in a crowd, in a conference. So once in a while when I do that, I have a picture, I posted some social media, but there should be something that I implement in all those things, so there should be something common that people remember me after a while. So I am using red, because I think red is very powerful and I really like the color. So now you're seeing my red jacket on me. It is a part of my strategic planning, because I always have something red when I speak. It doesn't need to be a jacket. Sometimes I wear it inside, sometimes I wear just a scarf. But in the pictures and in the eyes of the people, I always use this connection. So you will see, last week I was in Denmark speaking, I was having red inside of me. So I have a lot of pictures. When you remember, you will say, this is the lady with red. So I was in another workshop, and there were a lot of people with jackets, most of the time dark jackets, and I was the only one shining with red. And it feels like it's just because I like, and I like to be powerful or whatever. But there's still a strategy behind that. I never do something without having a thought about that. So if you do your actions deliberately, consciously, it will allow you to get closer and closer to the life that you want. And all these things which I'm coming from personal is also can be applied in your business life and in the bigger scale, because we are needing to use our resources well, and the most important resource is time, and then our effort, because we got tired with doing things. So how can we use our efforts in the most productive way? We need to be strategically planned so that everything that we spend goes to the same route, brings us to the same way that we want to achieve, that we want to end up in the end. And for those, we need to remember that two things, being the awareness and the proactive. One of my trainings, the recent trainings that I did in a lot of countries, is proactive career development. Because what I recognize in all these conferences, especially with the career development professionals, like HR people attending those conferences of ASCD, ATD, what I recognize is they are helping others to develop their careers, but they are not able to change their lives, and they're not happy also. The people who you are looking up, the managers, the executives, they look like they're having the best life that they like, and I'm coaching them one-on-one, and most of them are not happy. So how come you are at the position that everybody would like to be, and you're still not happy? It is because we are not ending up at the places that we chose. We are just ending up there. Maybe we are lucky, or maybe we are using the situations as best as possible, and then working well in whatever you need to do, and then of course you get some benefits and you become a manager. But does that life is the life that you really want? And all of these experiences made me think to design a training called Proactive Career Development. And in that one, the main thing that I'm recommending to people is to start thinking about themselves as a project. So I call Project Me. Because we are doing projects. We are doing a lot of important meetings, working on some projects, and we set deadlines, we set people who will be responsible on what, and which resources will be allocated where. And we are really spending a lot of mind and time and efforts on external things, especially related to our jobs. But then you forget about yourself. How do you develop yourself? How do you feed yourself? If you don't feed yourself, how do you end up being able to feed others happily? So if you develop your career also deliberately, knowingly, being strategically planned, then you can end up in a happier position at least. So of course I will not talk about all that training here because it's a longer subject, but I want you to recognize, first of all, it is possible. And then it takes effort in the beginning. Like this mind map, when I give it to my executive coaches and I recommend them now till our next session, please go and do this and this in this map and try to change it to a mind map. They go and next session, most of the time they come with not doing it. Because our brain likes to be comfortable, likes to continue what we are used to do, and doesn't want to change too much. Think of your sports, like think of activities of sports that you know it will be good to do some sports, but most of the time you don't end up doing the sports that you really wanted and you believe that it will be good for your body. So why you're not doing? Because the brain says, oh, not today, and my friends are meeting, let me go there, or oh my God, now my leg is aching. Of course the brain can manage all your physical activity. Your brain can make your leg ache when you need to go to the sports because there's a resistance. You know, I'm comfortable like this. Don't change anything. But if you go over and over on it, knowing that there's some resistance, then you can make a little step, and then it becomes easier and easier. It's the same thing with managing your brain. If you're forcing yourself to do the mind map, then it's in the beginning very hard, and then you spend time and you force yourself and it becomes easier and easier and easier, and in the end you do it without too much effort. It's the same thing with strategic thinking, strategic planning. You need to focus on strategic thinking, knowing that it's really beneficial, and then it becomes a part of your thinking naturally. You will think, you will find the dots and connect the dots easier in your mind if you are behind that thought. And you're very lucky to have a day like this, a leadership day focused on strategic planning, because now you have the tools, and the tools are probably explained very openly here. So now you probably know about more like Gantt charts, how you can plan in your teams, in your units back at the office, how you can see the future of what is coming on, so how you can change your plans before it's too late, before it becomes more hectic. So you're spending this time here focusing on this opinion, on these ideas, and you are fully here with all your mind, all your body, and you're spending the time with your colleagues here. And it will last at least 1 week. You'll be energized. You'll be like, yeah, that was really good. And then after 1 week, what will happen? Probably you have a lot of workload. Probably there's a lot of things that you need to accomplish with a deadline. So probably you will fall back to your habits, fall back how you were doing it all the time. Just be aware. That will make a big difference. Just recognize. Because if you recognize, then you can change it. If you are not aware, no chance. But if you recognize, then you can say, we should do it differently. Get help from each other. Say that, I know we should have done that this way, but it didn't work. There's too much things that I need to finish today. How can we help each other? And then be proactive. Before you fall into the old habits, do something about it. So after doing all these things, I became really the international name from Turkey. So all these partners that you heard when they were introducing me, they were finding me. My last client came from Sweden. It's a Turkish CEO of an international company, and it's about production. They have factories and so on. And the Turkish CEO needed a coach that the headquarters decided, and they looked for a coach in Turkey, and they found me. So it's obviously I'm on my track, on my planning, on my goals, on my agenda, and obviously it started to really work. So business are coming from abroad and finding me, pinpointing me in Turkey as the most international speaker, coach, and then it works. 10 years ago, nobody believed it. In the last 10 years, I traveled 75 countries. My goal is making 100 countries before I'm 50. And whoever traveled, which Turkish woman living in Turkey traveled 75 countries, more than 300 different cities in the last 10 years? I don't think I have anyone else like that. But why did I put this as a goal? It is because it's me. It is because of my own awareness, because I know that I'm happy traveling, I'm happy flying, I'm happy meeting new people, different places. And also it fits to my plan with my career. As I want to be international speaker, then all this international expertise adds to my career. So everything, even planning the holidays, I am thinking strategically about all these things, all the web that I'm in. So I was wanting to go to, I was married and I was wanting to go to a honeymoon. I was thinking, okay, where will we go for a honeymoon? And I was even in that case thinking strategically in the happiest moment and making it a cruise in Caribbean, seeing 5 different countries. And in 5 different countries, I have friends that I know from international conferences, a training company owner in Curacao, in Aruba, and I was in honeymoon, but I was still having coffee with those training company owners. Of course, making my husband believe that this is a good thing to do. And then, out of that meetings, now there will be some business opportunities that they will fly me from here to Curacao to do a training with the support of Dutch government, because they are supporting the Curacao operations. So you would never know how these things would end up. But if you have a strategy and if you plan strategically, every little detail you can put into the puzzle, and in the end the puzzle makes a big, beautiful picture. It's just in the planning and thinking strategy. Thank you.